Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Absolutely, we are ready.
BBC Radio, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is BBC Radio. How do you hear me?
BBC Radio, we have you loud and clear. Welcome aboard the International Space Station.
A great pleasure to speak to you both. Happy Christmas, first of all. Happy birthday, I gather, Commander Wilmore. And, of course, at this time of year, Happy New Year. Tell us, first of all, how important are these celebrations to bond you as a team up in space?
You know, it has actually bonded us pretty nicely as a team, celebrating these special holidays. Christmas, of course, my birthday yesterday. And the crew made it really special because they said nothing to me at all initially for the first hour of the day. Nothing at all. And then, of course, Mission Control, they had it all planned, and they had a big surprise, and you know, on some of the notes we get, stuff on that, and then singing and all. It was certainly special.
And did you get any nice presents, Commander?
I did, actually. My Russian colleagues, they gave me a nice little Russian medal, and Terry Virts, our other U.S. astronaut, he gave me a big bag of Reese's Pieces. It was great.
Well, I suppose you need to keep them, don't you? Because you can't return them to any stores up there, I would imagine. Samantha, tell us, is it possible to paint a picture of where you are precisely now, and what do you see out of the window?
You know, I don't have awareness right now of where we are in this precise moment, but I can tell you that these are very special days for us. Sometime this morning, we have seen our last sunset for several days. You probably heard that normally here on board the space station, we see 15 to 16 sunsets and sunrises every day. But now we're going into a very special period in which we basically trek along what we call the terminator, which is the line between daylight and night on the ground. And so we're basically, for 4 or 5 days, we'll be in this permanent twilight condition where it's never night and it's never really day, and it makes for beautiful views out the window.
What does that feel like, experiencing something like that you know, we could only imagine about when we're down here on Earth?
Honestly, it is very difficult to put into words because the colors are so vivid. I mean, to look and see mountaintops, mountain ranges, the entire Himalaya mountains, including Mount Everest and all the other beauty of those mountains, and the Sierra Nevadas in the United States, the Alps in Europe. I mean, it's just mesmerizing. The colors of the waters, the various colors, the greens that are in some of the waters, the aqua, the deep blue. It's hard to put into words other than to say it's just absolutely amazing.
Well, you've done a terrific job for us. Thank you. Tell us, Commander, how long have you been personally in space, and what have you been able to achieve in that time?
Oh, well, 3 months. And I tell you what, in 3 months, it's been quite busy. We've received and sent SpaceX. One of the cargo vehicles arrived early in my increment, and we sent it back, and we'll be receiving another SpaceX cargo vehicle soon. We've received several Progress vehicles, and each of these cargo vehicles bring a great deal of supplies, cargo, and of course experiments as well. So every time they're here, we are very busy doing various experiments on various different things, earth sciences, physical sciences, and everything in between.
And I gather, Samantha, that there are some spacewalks planned early in the new year. Again, what is the mission there? What is the aim?
Well, actually, I'll pass it to Butch for this answer because he and Terry will actually be doing those spacewalks, and I'll be supporting as what we call the intravehicular officer.
Okay,
well,
lucky man.
We'll be outfitting
the
exterior of the station. Yeah, we're outfitting the exterior of the station. We have some cargo vehicles and crewed vehicles that are in design right now that eventually will dock to the space station. And those docking mechanisms are different than what we actually have on station now. We have the old shuttle mechanism. We have to put some new docking adapters on there. And before we even put those docking adapters on there, we have to run power to those. And we'll be laying a great deal of cable to power those docking adapters, which will eventually arrive. But before I finish, Terry and I are scheduled to do those spacewalks, but I can tell you, being the IVA, the person that suits us up and sends us out and brings us back in, is by far the hardest job. I kid you not. It is the hardest job, and that's what Samantha will be doing for us.
Okay, a few quick fire questions for you from our listeners in particular who, forgive us, we don't know much about how you guys operate on a day-to-day basis, so maybe you can give us an insight. First of all, how do you sleep?
First of all, I have to say I sleep great up here. It's the best sleep I've ever had in my life. I've had it up here on the space station. We basically sleep floating. Well, it depends. People have different preferences, but personally, I just love to sleep in a sleeping bag. We all have our sleeping bag, and I just love to leave it floating. Each of us has a little cabin. It's about the size of the old phone booths, for those who are old enough to remember those. And I just let myself float in there. And I don't float far, and I guess I probably bounce off the walls a few times during the night, but it's a very gentle bouncing. It does not wake me up at all. And that feeling of just having my body completely relaxed and no pressure on any side of my body is just wonderful. I just love it.
And what do you eat?
Absolutely anything that we can get our hands on. For some reason, I'm not sure what it is, but my appetite is 3 times what it is on Earth. And they actually cut back our rations a little bit because we have so many days we bring out some more food because Samantha's with us. But I tell you what, the young lady can eat as well, so she can pack it away just like the rest of us. We do stay hungry.
Thank you so much for joining us from space. I know a British astronaut, Tim Peake, is going to be joining you next year as well, which will be an amazing moment for everyone here in the UK. We appreciate your time. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to y'all as well and all your listeners.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the BBC radio portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from CBS News.
Station, this is Bill Harwood, CBS News. How do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear. Welcome aboard.
Well, thank you very much. And first of all, happy holidays to both of you. And Butch, a belated happy birthday to you. What did you guys do to celebrate up there? And what are your plans for the new year? I guess there's no champagne up there, right?
No, there's no champagne, but we'll break open a grapefruit juice or a tropical punch, whatever we have on board. And the birthday yesterday was very special. The crewmates made it very special for me. The ground mission controls across the globe made it very special with some very special. They actually sang to me, sent me cards, so it was a great day, great and very memorable.
Samantha, do you have a New Year's resolution, or Butch for that matter? Either one of you have any New Year's resolutions you might share?
I can tell you one thing you think about when you're up here, Bill, is when we do various tasks. I mean, we may do 15 different tasks on 15 different subject matters a day. And one thing you think about constantly is don't let me mess this up, because there's people on the ground that, put a lot of effort into getting it up here, and we don't want to be the ones to mess it up. So my New Year's resolution is to try to pay better attention to every step of every procedure so we get it all right.
Samantha, how about you?
Yeah, I was trying to think, and I guess I have been here on board for about a month now, and I guess there are some things that at the beginning you kind of put off because you've just arrived and you need to adjust and you need to learn how to live as an extraterrestrial life form here on board of the International Space Station. And so I guess one of the things that I have been putting off and that I definitely want to start is to do a little bit more video documenting of what I have been doing or I'm doing here on board so that I can share it with the public. I've been doing quite a bit of photos, but I haven't been into video a lot yet, and that's probably my New Year's resolution right now.
Well, thanks. You guys both have a SpaceX launch coming up in a week or so, and I'm sure you'll find a few belated Christmas presents on board, but more important, this is the first U.S. cargo ship to reach the station since the Antares failure back in October. Butch, how important is it for SpaceX to maintain a steady cadence of supply ship launches, since obviously Orbital Sciences Antares is probably down for the rest of the year?
Well, SpaceX certainly has does a lot for us. Every time they come up, they bring a great deal of cargo, obviously, and a great deal of experiments in science that we're very keen on accomplishing as we, every single day. We also have Russian Progress vehicles that bring us cargo. So SpaceX does their part, the Russians do their part. Eventually, Orbital will get it back to launching again, and they'll be supplying us. And so we're looking forward to those days.
For both of you, Scott Kelly and Mikhail Kornienko are preparing for launch here in March or so to begin a year-long stay aboard the station. Butch, based on your experience, what do you see as the major challenges those guys will face for a year-long flight?
I think the obvious one is this is a marathon. 6 months is a long time, and a year is even more so. So it's like a double marathon, and you got to pace yourself. I mean, you could literally, work yourself to death. There's so much to do. You could work 24 hours a day and never get everything done. So you definitely have to think ahead, pace yourself. Maybe a couple of 3-day weekends thrown in there will be nice for those guys that'll be up here for so long.
Samantha, what are your thoughts about a year-long mission? I think, most people on the ground would think being cooped up in a confined space for that long would be difficult, regardless of the view and the weightlessness.
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't see that as a problem. The space station is actually an amazing. I like to call it the humanity's outpost in space, and I hope that conveys a little bit the fact that it's a complex, big, grand, huge facility, and we have plenty of space up here. So we're obviously very respectful of each other's private space, and there is enough space here to find your own private space if you need it. So I wouldn't be concerned about that. What I definitely hope for them is that they will stay healthy for a full year. I mean, this can be a challenging environment to stay healthy on a long term, and of course, I think there has only been one person who has been in space that long so far, so we don't have a lot of experience yet, and that's the whole point. And I think it will be it might be a challenge for them to really stay at the top of their health for a whole year, and so that's my best wish for them to stay healthy.
Samantha, you've been in orbit for a little over 1 month now. I was wondering how reality compares with your pre-launch expectations. In other words, is there anything about the experience so far that's been a surprise to you?
Lots of people tell you about how wonderful it is to view Earth from the window, and it is. And that has been a confirmation. I would not say that has been a surprise because I was expecting it to be magnificent. I guess what I did not expect is how much I enjoy floating. I mean, I just love it. I just love to float, to be able to move in 3 dimensions, to let my body completely relax, to be able to have dinner on the ceiling if I want, or work on a wall, or bounce off another wall. So I never expected that to be so incredibly enjoyable.
I noticed in your biography you said you enjoyed yoga, and I'd never thought about it before, but I was wondering if that was even possible in zero gravity.
Well, I haven't tried yet, but I think the whole principle of yoga is about your body weight and your alignment, and really align your body along gravity. So probably in space is kind of difficult. But I would be really interested to hear the opinion and maybe the experience of somebody who's more experienced than me in yoga. It'd be interesting to see what they think.
All right, guys, I got to wrap it up. Butch, I was going to ask you about football. You'll have to share that later. You guys have a great New Year's, and we'll chat with you soon.
All right, thanks a lot. We'll be watching some football. Thanks to you and all your listeners.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you, BBC Radio and CBS News. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.